President Trump is adding his voice to a political earthquake unfolding in the UK right now. The president posted that UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer will resign. That's in line with reports that pressure is building for Starmer to step down amid growing revolt within his Labour Party. If he does, that would make Starmer the sixth prime minister out of a job since the Brexit vote. This week will also mark 10 years since Britain voted to leave the EU. It's a vote now widely recognized as a seismic moment for the UK, with major implications domestically that reverberated around the world. Now, I think all of us can probably remember where we were that weekend of the Brexit vote and watching it, and the media around the world, and the shock at what happened. And then 6 months later, basically having the same thing happen here with Donald Trump's election.
Yeah, I think what was interesting about that moment was that nobody thought it could happen. Or at least the commentators who were supposed to know something about British politics didn't think that this could happen, that this was just, sort of a symbolic vote. A few people were going to let off steam. And then there was this seismic, almost like cataclysmic result. And stock markets crashed when they opened the next day. It was really, I think, it should have been a wake-up call in the sense that so many of the punditry class, including ourselves, didn't necessarily see this coming, even though if you look at the polling, we were talking about this beforehand, it was within the margin of error. And then the same thing kind of happened, as you say, when Donald Trump won. I feel like this was that moment, the moment of Brexit, was sort of the start of this now decade-long dive that much of the Western developed countries have made into right-wing populism. And it kind of started with Brexit, which was a surprise to the political class, then happened with Donald Trump, which was a surprise. And now we've kind of accepted it, and I think have finally wrapped our heads, having done enough ethnography of voters in Iowa diners and whatever the equivalent is in the UK. I think we finally accepted it, but we still don't really understand necessarily where it's going.
I was going to say the other part of that is that there is now, it at least appears to be some buyer's remorse on Brexit, as there probably is a little bit in this country on the belief that Donald Trump was going to be able to solve all of these economic problems. When you go through the list, according to the European Council on Foreign Relations, and we have this survey here, most people in the UK believe Brexit has had a negative impact on issues they care about. The cost of everyday shopping and bills, negative 66%. On the economy, negative 65%. UK's reputation, 60%. These are, you're talking about like almost, staggering numbers. Well over a majority of the people think that Brexit has had a negative impact. And when you kind of look at Donald Trump's popularity or approval rating in this country, which again, it's not apples to apples. It's obviously a different issue in a different context. But the way he's handling the economy, the way people thought that he was going to be able to deliver a MAGA agenda or an America First agenda that fixes the economy and deals with affordability and no new wars, you go across the board, and those numbers are very similar here in terms of approval rating. And so you get a sense, perhaps, that the right-wing populism that consumed much of the developed world, or the Western developed world, did not deliver on its promises. This a little bit of xenophobia, a little bit of like nationalism, this kind of fervor about we have to start taking care of ourselves. It was, the UK first. In America, it's America first. Neither one of those agendas delivered in the way that people thought they would.
What I'm finding interesting is the acceptance almost of stagnation, because even though there is this widespread discontent within the UK over the decision and what it brought, you don't see Labour having a big campaign to rejoin and to come back. There's just no going back to the pre-2016 era. And who is going to design the next status quo that voters will find appealing? The UK seems to be channeling in and out of leaders as they stumble with it, certainly.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty ahead. We're going to have to leave it at that for now.